Okay. As of this morning, after doing my speech yesterday and my speeches for the last year and a half, and looking at things this moment, I think there are two big things at play to answer your question. One is the truckers' convoy. I'll tell you why. Today, courts are they're less looking at the Constitution than they are what the people are saying. Sadly, because they should be looking at what the Constitution says. We know from a couple of court cases now, what I just said is true. They have nowhere in those decisions, there are lower courts, thankfully, okay, did they mention the supremacy of God, the rule of law, right? Then nowhere did they mention other science, only the government science, okay? And so they've erred in law, but they're getting away with it up to now. So I think we have two fronts here. The courts, yes, the courts of appeal of the provinces and the Supreme Court of Canada. But I think what is really important now is for the people of Canada to realize that through the convoy and legitimate civil disobedience, we can influence the opinion that the judges are going to have at the end of the day. So what is becoming more and more important as I speak right now, I'm getting goosebumps right now from what I'm saying, because I now realize that what is happening in Canada right now with people and with the truckers in particular are crucial to us changing public opinion, and especially the opinion of the leaders all the way up into the judiciary, to see to it that this charter is honored. So my anticipation is that as we move forward with these appeals beyond the lower courts of the provinces into the provinces' courts of appeal, which will end up in the Supreme Court of Canada, that process over the next half year to a year, forgetting the mandates coming off, forgetting that doesn't mean a thing. It helps people at a certain level, but it doesn't change our democracy. Our democracy is still gone. Our democracy is still gone until we get a reaffirmation by the courts that the charter applies and has been violated. Okay? And so the two forces that are very important right now for that to happen is the people,
the public opinion
through these convoys and other people getting out on the streets in civil disobedience, which is a right that every Canadian has. Every person, right, has a right to get out and protest and express their opinion. So the more we can legitimately protest, I think the greater the influence we'll have, both on the political leaders, but more particularly upon the judiciary, so that they see that the body politic of this country favors reaffirmation of everything that's in that charter, and that this cannot happen again.
And we'll have that decision, and that decision will be a precedent that the future governments won't be able to do what they did to us in the future.
Excellent, because if we don't do that, the precedent will be that governments can do what they bloody well like in the future. And our democracy is gone. There is an organization in the world called Democracy Watch, and they assess the level of democracy in countries around the world. Right now, Canada has an assessment of free. If we don't reaffirm our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that will change to partly free. And then very much later to not free at all. This is the pivotal time in our history to reestablish that we're a constitutional parliamentary democracy.
With real constitutional rights.
Constitutional rights and freedoms, exactly.
So these two battles are going together, changing the public opinion and the court in the courts.
Absolutely.
So I believe that we must thank the truckers for what they're doing right now. They are able to, yes, it's a kind of civil disobedience.
Absolutely.
But peacefully.
Yes.
And we know that the public opinion is moving right now.
Yes.
In early January, we had about only 10-15% of the population that were saying to these governments, enough is enough. And now it's about 40-50% of the population. So thanks to that movement and to you also, because you are explaining that to Canadians that we have rights and we must fight for that. We cannot take our rights for granted
anymore.
And and you know that you were there, because I must admit that I did some interviews, and when I was saying, it's unconstitutional, we must fight that, and the first question, Mr. Bernier, there's the Section 1 in the Constitution.
Right.
The government has the right to do that. It's an emergency.
Right.
So, and Mr. Bernier, the lower courts were in agreement with the situation right now. So when you're saying it's unconstitutional, you're not right, Mr. Bernier.
Exactly.
But you were there. You were part of that negotiation.
Exactly.
You signed that Charter of Rights. And you know that Section 1 that you explained to us, it does not apply.
Does not apply. And even if it does, they never met the test. So on either count, they lost. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that the charter still applies. That's extremely important for people to understand that, right? And the other thing I say is, in the good Canadian tradition, we're in the last part of the second period. The hockey game is not over because none of the appeal courts have ruled yet, nor the Supreme Court of Canada. So we've got a whole period, right? We're about in the 15 minute of the second period. Okay? 5 minutes left there, and then we've got the whole third period to go. And now we have a chance, you and me, and Canadians have a chance to influence that third period. So that at the end of that third period, the Supreme Court of Canada says what they said in 1991, right? Trudeau, you're unconstitutional. And now they'll say, Trudeau Jr., you're unconstitutional too.
Shame on you.
Same one, in different clothes. Okay? So we have an unbelievable obligation between now and when the Supreme Court of Canada rules to influence, to reestablish our democracy, get that charter right, so that becomes the precedent. The charter becomes the precedent, so no government could ever touch it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And that movement and pressure that people are saying to these governments, it's not only in Ottawa, it's all across the country.
Precisely.
And we know that we can unite everybody under that freedom umbrella.
Right.
And people are coming. It's not a question of being vaccinated or not right now. It's not a question about fighting a virus anymore. It's a question of, do you want to live in a society where your rights won't be respected? Do you want to live in a society where the government will decide what you can do with your life or not? And I think people understand that now. We funded that party on 4 principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And when I was speaking about freedom 2 years ago, what do you mean, Maxime? What do you mean? And now more people understand that that fight is so important, not only for us, but for the future of this country, for our children, our grandchildren. Absolutely. And I want to thank you for what you did. You were there, and I'm pretty sure that our viewers are very happy with that part of history that they know now because of you. And that second period, you're going to play in that second period. You are our star player. So you are with us, and we're going to win that. Actually,
my best period is my third period.
I know that. And we won't have to go to overtime.
We will not have to go to overtime. There's no shootout here. We'll finish it off at the end of the third period.
We'll do that together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate our discussion.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Follow us, MaximeBernier.com, the People's Party of Canada.ca, and also Maxime Bernier on Twitter. Brian also, you can follow him. And you said about your book. Where do you know where they can?
They can get it at Amazon.
Amazon.
Okay, just put in Brian Peckford and up will come my book. Someday the sun will shine and have not will be no more. They can get my book and they can go to my blog, which is Peckford42. I was born in 1942. The number's 42, Peckford42.wordpress.com. I get 10 to 20,000 a day going to my blog.
I just want to let you know that TBOF, Taking Back Our Freedoms. That's an organization. Brian is the chairman of that organization, and I'm very pleased to be on the board. That's something that you started, when did you start it?
Only a few months ago with some people out of Alberta. And then it started to grow, and they started to get board members like you and doctors like Dr. Bridle, right, who became part of the board. Dr. Paul Alexander became part of the board. Dr. Roger Hodgkinson became part of the board. And so we have a very diverse board of scientists, of politicians and former politicians like us, and other ordinary citizens. And they're doing what we just talked about, taking back our freedoms.
And if you want to know more, you have a website?
The website is TBOF.ca.
Okay.
Anybody can go there and donate to it and to look more carefully at what we stand for.
And what we are asking you to go and see your representative at the municipal, at the federal, at the provincial level, and just, call that person, write to that person, email to that person, and tell them that enough is enough. Thank you.
TBOF.ca.
Yeah. Thank you.